Madam Chair, members, we do have a couple of reports, some of which will require action. We'll begin with a brief presentation regarding heart of the city, and to lead that, I'm inviting Jamie Rothy, who leads our community engagement and experience work at DMC. Just as a point I'll make, she is actually a Mayo employee on loan to DMC. DMC EDA. So as an example of the relationship, we have 3 staff who are, I call them executives on loan to work with us. Jamie is one of them. Chris Shad, who will join us on another report, is another one of those. So Jamie, with that, would you say?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. So grateful to be with you today. My update consists of 3 items. We would like to provide a Chateau Theater update to the group, and there's a board action item connected to that. Also be covering a quick Heart of the City update, and then an update with our post-occupancy analysis, which we came and talked about the last time we were together. So our first update with the Chateau, we wanted just to remind the group our interactions with the Chateau as a group from the DMCC. You'll see up on the screen that in 2015, DMC financial support was used to purchase the Chateau Theater along with support from Mayo Clinic. We activated an interim activation strategy in 2019, and then just on Monday, the City Council in Rochester selected Threshold Arts to be the interim operator of the theater, which we're very excited about. And then coming up next, there will be a city request for additional capital improvements, and that, of course, is pending consideration and action of this board today. To provide a bit more context, we wanted to give you the dollars of financial support that DMCC has approved up until this point. And you'll see again at the beginning of the purchase of the Chateau Theater for $6 million, and then additional investment throughout the last 7 years. Most recently, you would have seen this in 2022 with $350,000 for improvements, and what we're asking for today is a new request for $250,000. This is how we came with this number, is some analysis of previous use in interim activation. We studied activation during COVID when the building was empty, but the Rochester Civic Music activated it during that time. And then also studied our interim use strategy as well to determine what actually needs to be in the building for it to be activated. It's really a beautiful building, but it's a shell of a building, and we've learned a lot along the way. So I will pause there and see if Councilmember President Brooke or Kim Norton, do you want to ask that from the city perspective?
Members? Sure. I will just say that I'm thrilled that City Council approved Threshold Arts to invest their time, energy, and willing to take on the operation activation of Chateau. They have identified, along with Ms. Rothy's comments, a couple of additional expenses that we feel are important to the activation of the space. I think it's an opportunity to see what works really well in that space and get excited about how it connects to Heart of the City more broadly. And then also start to think as a council what the longer term strategy is for Chateau. But in the meantime, this is really exciting.
Member Norton, did you have anything to add to that? Member Ryback?
I just wanted to say how much I appreciate the city making the decision to have Threshold Arts be involved in that. Just the perspective I bring to this is having watched the development of the state and the Orpheum Theater and the Pantages in Minneapolis. It's not just about the building, it's about the operation and about in the cases, the nonprofit running it. So it took a while for that to happen and for us to figure that out in Minneapolis. I think what's really exciting about this is that you have a local entity that's grown from one building now into the other, that's really in the position to become more of a presenting sponsor. And I just want to say that to the degree that we can, I believe this board should be thinking about not just the bricks and mortar, but helping to make sure that that entity that's local, that's nonprofit, that's about this community understands it, that we can stand behind them. Which tools we can use, I don't know, but I just want to say we should be focused on that as well. And I'm really glad the city made that choice.
I support that. Thank you.
Appreciate your feedback. Patrick, do you have anything to add?
I'll just ask one clarifying question, and this is just a math question, but having worked on a number of budgets and capital budgets, I see the number of what was budgeted and what we've actually spent is significantly different, and yet we're requesting additional funding. So I think we should have as part of the record why that is the case and what those obligated funds are being held or designated for, and that they are not available for the purpose for which we are requesting additional funds. So Patrick?
Just a brief comment on that. The one case in particular is the $350,000 that is budgeted in the capital improvement program for 2022 was specifically for improvements to the restroom, which would increase the capacity of the venue. And so that's what you earmarked it for. We've not pursued that yet because the city has also been pursuing grant funding for that purpose. So we have heard some hopeful news that in fact there may be some federal funds that will offset that, and we may not have to use that 350 at all, or somewhat less than that. So what we are being transparent about is this use that we're proposing is something different than what you had approved. This is for some electrical upgrades, some staging and lighting necessary for activation. We can provide a more complete report on the budget and actual spend, but that's just a quick summary.
Thank you, Patrick. I think that is sufficient to clarify that the funds that are budgeted are designated for a particular purpose, and should it not be required, it will come back and be able to be reallocated. But right now, we need to provide additional funding. Which brings us to the resolution that is in your packet requesting authorization for the, Member Campbell.
As a teenager, having spent substantial time at the Chateau Theater dating my wife, I enthusiastically
Approval, Member Campbell, is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion?
One more question. Who owns the building? Is it city owned? Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.